How did your parents fail you? My dad missed my graduation for a job interview. Mom promised he'd make it, but kept checking her phone anxiously during the entire ceremony. I felt my heart sink when I scanned the crowd and didn't see his face anywhere. After walking across that stage, I gripped my phone waiting for something. No texts, no calls, complete silence. Mom couldn't look me in the eyes when I found her afterward. She hugged me way too tight and whispered, "He really tried, sweetheart." My chest burned with anger I couldn't hide anymore. At my graduation party, relatives kept asking about Dad. Mom cycled through increasingly desperate excuses. Traffic jam, work emergency, car trouble, each lie more pathetic than the last. I watched her stumble through explanations while my shame grew deeper. My friend Jake pulled me aside and asked, "You doing okay, man?" I just laughed and said, "He's been doing this since I was 7 years old," because it was absolutely true. He missed my championship basketball game where I scored the winning shot, missed my debate team finals when I took first place, even missed my 18th birthday party last year, said he had to work late again. That night after everyone finally left, I sat alone staring at my diploma. Mom tried approaching me, but I cut her off immediately. "Save it," I said, grabbing my car keys. I've heard every excuse before. I drove to my old elementary school playground and sat on the same swing where Dad used to push me before work, completely consumed his life. Before he became just a distant voice, I sometimes heard coming home at 2 a.m. Something inside me finally broke that night. All the anger I'd bottled up for years spilled over at once. I pulled out my phone and texted him, "Congratulations on showing me exactly where I rank in your priorities. Message delivered. Read immediately." When I got home after midnight, Dad's car was sitting in our driveway. I found him hunched over our kitchen table, head buried in his hands like he was praying, papers scattered everywhere around him. Mom sat beside him with eyes completely red from crying. He looked up when I walked in. His face was gray with pure exhaustion. No tie anywhere. Dress shirt rumpled like he'd been wearing it for 3 straight days without changing. "I'm so sorry I missed your graduation," he said, voice completely hollow and broken. I stood there with arms crossed, waiting for the same excuse I'd heard 1,000 times before. "I thought this interview would change everything for our family," he continued slowly. His hands were actually trembling as he pushed a manila folder toward me across the table. Inside was a rejection letter dated that exact morning. The company had decided to go with a different candidate after all. Someone with more experience, they said. Mom spoke up then, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your dad's company started doing layoffs 6 months ago. He found out he was next on their list." My stomach dropped. "We've been 3 weeks away from losing this house," she continued. "The bank denied our refinance applications twice already." I stared at them both in complete shock. Dad had been driving for rideshare services every single weekend, had been secretly selling his prized vintage record collection piece by piece, had been skipping his own meals while still putting dinner on our table every night. This interview was literally his final hope to save us. He'd begged them desperately to reschedule around my graduation ceremony. They refused completely, said it was that specific day or never at all. During the actual interview, he talked about me constantly, my achievements, my determination, how proud he was. He thought he'd genuinely connected with the hiring manager. They kept him waiting in their lobby for 4 additional hours after the interview ended, made him believe he actually had a real chance. He sat there until building security finally told him to leave the premises. By then, my graduation was already long over. That night, I found a crumpled pawnshop ticket in his wallet while looking for aspirin. He'd pawned his father's watch, the same one his dying father had given him, the one he'd always promised would be mine someday. When I confronted him about it, he just shrugged with exhausted shoulders. "Some things matter more than old watches," he said simply. The next morning, I found him asleep at our kitchen table, surrounded by 17 new job applications he'd filled out overnight. He failed me by missing my graduation, but the world failed him so much worse.